why are you at Stand in the Park at Kings Lynn today?
Well, just to make sure that myself and all other colleagues within the NHS and everyone in the world really has the chance to say no and can be pro-choice. If they don't want to take it, they shouldn't ever be forced to or coerced to with the threat of losing their job. A lot of the people here today have got children, families, mouths to feed, and to take that away from someone because they don't want to have a is terrible. I mean, yesterday we marched on London yesterday and we saw literally thousands of uniforms thrown over the gates of number 10. That's the most iconic image of this century so far, and it wasn't reported on the front page of every newspaper. That just shows corruption to me. That should be on the front page of every single newspaper, because that is iconic. When have you ever seen that? And if you look at every single one of them uniforms, they represent someone and the lives that were saved by those people who wore those uniforms. It's just a disgrace to see what's happened and how it's been underreported, or not reported at all in some cases. I saw the Evening Standard in their online news suggesting that dozens threw their shirts over. There was thousands. They said hundreds were protesting. There was hundreds of thousands. It's just so badly reported. It's not fair. People need a voice.
And how did you like your job in the NHS, or how are you liking it?
I love it. To work with people, to serve people is, it's lovely. You get the thank yous you get, the stopping in the street and people talking to you who you've been with before, or you've been on a ward with. It's a vocation for a lot of people. We're caring people. We're not anarchists. We're not like we've been labelled. We just don't want to take it. We're not. No one said don't take this. Everyone should have a choice if they want to take it or not. But we've been labelled in the press and things like that, and it's not true. We're not. We're just pro-choice.
And how do you feel about mandating certain things?
I think when you start mandating, if the government can start telling you what you can and can't put in your body, I think that's when we come to a very dangerous precedent to be set. I think that, if this goes ahead and these trial results when they come out do prove that the jab could be dangerous, then how many lives are going to be lost as a result of that? I don't think the government should have any interference in this. Top doctors, scientists are all coming out on a daily basis to say, look, I think we maybe should pause these, have a good look at them, and until that's done, I mean, I don't understand Savage Javid. I think his industry's banking. It's not healthcare. So how's he making decisions that affect hundreds of thousands of healthcare workers?
And how do you feel about 5 to 11-year-olds?
I think that's an absolute disgrace. I mean, they're one of the low-risk groups as it is, and then from the own government, what the government is saying is that it doesn't prevent transmission, doesn't stop you spreading it. Then why are they going to give it to children? I mean, their immune system is forming. I don't think it's a good idea at all. I think, but again, if they're parents and they speak to their medical professionals and they decide they want to, then that's their choice. But again, it should be a choice made by their parents and given informed consent that here are the side effects potentially, here are the benefits, and then you can make a decision, and that's what informed consent is.
And how do you feel about the people who follow the narrative are labelling people like this?
I think it's become very much a general sweeping term for anyone who questions the narrative to make them be put straight away into a category of which is not the case. I think it was done the same way as when, if anyone questions a narrative in the past of other conspiracies that have taken place in the world, if you consider and speak about them, you label the conspiracy theories straight away, blanket term, you must believe in lizard, reptilian, aliens and things like that, and that's not the case. Some people just question narratives of, for instance, 9/11 being one of the classic ones. So I don't like the idea that people are being able to be labelled when they're not. They're just literally pro-choice. They're looking for scientific reasons to why they should have it or why they shouldn't. And a lot of people as well have their own complex medical issues that they've got now anyway, who, by having could make that worse, exacerbate their symptoms of what they currently got. They should be given an option to say no.
And what do you believe is the ultimate agenda by the government?
Well, it would be speculation at the moment, but I mean, if you look at a lot of the facts, it could be a depopulation agenda. It could be. I don't know. I'd like to think it wasn't, but there's a lot of people calling it that. I think most importantly, or the thing that's probably most going for is control over a subservient mass, because they want to be able to wave their power wherever they want. And the thing is, they should be serving us, not the other way around. We're public servants. We serve the public the same way the police do. Politicians, we elect them to make good decisions. But when we don't feel the decisions are right, we should be able to make our voice known, and they should then have a look at what they're doing and then come with a different solution that supports everyone.
How do you feel about the way police have treated protesters?
Well, from my experience from yesterday in London, they behaved very well. I didn't have any problems with the police at all. I think in other protests for various other things in the past, they may have been a bit more brutal with certain people. I think with them knowing that we were very similar to them in terms of we both basically have a very similar job, we're both public servants, I think they were a lot more empathetic to our plight, because I spoke to one of them outside Downing Street. I said, you know, if they come over our line, they'll come for you next. And a lot of the police there were with us. They agreed with us. They were, when the uniforms were going over, a lot of them laid them down. They were very supportive. And one of them said, you know, they hoped that one day someone would go in there and arrest Boris Johnson, and that was from the police. So, you know, I think that the police handled it very well yesterday. From what I saw, personally, I can't comment on what I didn't see. Maybe there's some reports come out, I don't know. But no, they behaved perfectly well yesterday, and they supported what we were doing.
I know you touched on it a bit, but how do you feel about the lack of mainstream coverage?
I think that's an absolute disgrace, because I think that when you've got a bought and paid for mainstream media, then the general public are not getting informed. They're not being shown the real news of what's happening across the world, not only in this country. And I think when all mainstream media outlets, all newspapers, on their front pages should have been that image, because that image was iconic, and it was heartbreaking to see as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.